Yeah! So for today, I'm going to talk about a two for one first cartoon appearance of some DC comic characters. Firstly, we got Firestorm and the villainous Darkseid. And well, I guess Darkseid's people too. But yeah! Alright, let's go!
Yeah! So, we start off with Black Vulcan chasing down some bank robbers, but he gets caught in an easily escapable smokescreen. Luckily, some brand new hero comes out of the blue and stops the bank robbers. Hooray! Also, the globe that sits on top of the Daily Planet building is about to fall off. As Superman is getting ready to change into his uniform, this new random hero comes out of the blue and stops this thing from crushing the population below. Hooray! Also, Wonder Woman is trying to stop a cruise ship from hitting an iceberg. Where have I heard that before? Nonetheless, this new hero comes out of the blue and stops the ship from crashing and going to the bottom of the ocean. Hooray! And if all of that wasn't enough, the horrible new villain, Darkseid, and his son, Calabac, arrived on Earth and put the the Super Friends into a trap most fatal. But yet again, this new hero comes out of nowhere and saves the day, which totally pisses off Darkseid as he and his kid take off back to their home planet of Apocalypse. So impressed are these Super Friends that they invite this new hero to join their team without any background searching, no nothing. So this hero's name is Firestorm. And it turns out he's actually two people in one. So, University Professor Stein had a molecular fusion experiment of his literally blow up in his face. And not just his face, but the face of his student, Ronald Raymond. So now that they're molecularized together, they can fuse together into one person, which makes this superhero of Firestorm. And he's pretty awesome. Like, he can pass through objects like with no problem. He can alter the configuration of any other object and turn it into something completely different. This guy is pretty hip. Or is he? You see, on his first day of hanging out in the Hall of Justice, he accidentally turned off the force field to said Hall of Justice. And would you believe that at that exact moment, that's when Darkseid chose to show up at the Hall of Justice with his interplanetary boom tube, where he kidnaps Wonder Woman. Oh, secure! So now that Darkseid's back on his planet of Apocalypse, he meets up with one of his top scientists, Darkseid, because Darkseid created this new device called a mind probe, which is a mind control thingy. So Darkseid is using this on Wonder Woman to brainwash her in becoming his wife. I guess, because with the mug like Darkseid has, you really don't have a whole lot of options. But geez, dude, that's really not how you pick up women. Like, have you not heard of, like Tinder or something? It's a place that has super friends with super benefits. Yeah? No? Okay. So the Super Friends show up on the planet Apocalypse in a clam-style meteor, which seems ridiculous, but I guess is pretty good. Like, you want to get past Darkseid's security systems, and you can do that with an asteroid, so right on for them. They meet up with Wonder Woman and are about to escape the building. But treachery most foul. Turns out Wonder Woman is all mind probed, brainwashed and stuff like that. So she lures the Super Friends into a trap. And now all of them are trapped in this mind probe. So like the team is totally screwed, right? No! As we've seen throughout the entire episode, Firestorm saves the day. You see, seeing as he is a person with two different minds, he's able to use that and break free of the mind probe, which can only attack one mind at a time from one body, I guess. Which is, makes sense. So the mind probe is destroyed, the Super Friends are free, and a newly unbrainwashed Wonder Woman uses Darkseid's boom tube device to get the hell out of Apocalypse and back to Earth. So hooray! The day is saved! Even though the looming threat of one of the most dangerous villains, Darkseid, is still out there, and he's angrier than ever. But who cares? That's for another day. And other than that, that's that. So yeah, with this, that, those, and the other things, I guess that's that.
Yeah, yes indeed, eh? Like, what can I say, man? That was actually a really awesome cartoon. Something about action cartoons in the early 80s, you know? Man, it's just just has that certain vibe to it, you know? And this one was pretty action-packed. Like I say, you got two major characters popping up for the first time in this episode, and it's almost like Darkseid was shortchanged in this one, you know? He's one of the biggest, baddest villains in DC Comics history, and he gets upstaged by some freaking university punk kid? Well, you know, albeit a really awesome, you know, super-powered university punk kid. But this episode doesn't make it feel like that, right? Like, it was still a pretty awesome introduction for both characters. Darkseid having that voice that sounds exactly like Dr. Clock from Inspector Gadget. You know, like, I'll get you next time, Gadget. Next time. That voice, that was Darkseid, which, yeah, is a pretty fitting voice for the guy. And yeah, Firestorm, man, like, the guy's actually a pretty awesome character, even though he has a really wild superhero origin story, you know? But still, you know, not really weirder than a lot of other superheroes. This episode is pretty hip for me because, as far as I can remember, the very first superhero comic I ever got was actually a Firestorm comic. And I think I got a Geoforce comic with that too, or at least a story all about Geoforce. So this guy's always had a soft spot in my heart. And speaking of soft spots, Wonder Woman! I do feel pretty bad for her, you know, being the only full-time female on the team. She has a unique set of problems that she has to deal with. Like, I didn't really talk about this in the recap, you know, but like, Firestorm, like, hitting on her? Like, dude, you're a university student and probably a pothead. If you're talking way out of your league, yeah, Wonder Woman is that league you're way out of. And if that wasn't enough, she has to deal with Darkseid. Like, everybody just wants to marry her. Like, holy crap. All she wants to do is just punch villains in the face like a normal super friend. But no! She has to go shopping for an intergalactic wedding dress or something, right? But, you know, nonetheless, she still kicks butt. But yeah, like I was saying, man, this episode is actually pretty awesome. Some superhero cartoons can get really silly and kind of go everywhere, but this one actually built a pretty good set of rules around the story that they were talking about and stayed in it pretty well, and everything worked together pretty good, especially considering the introductions to these new characters.
If thou hath not seen this episode, strongly suggest I that thou shalt do it and see it.
Yeah! But now, let us go and see what else we can find here to beat Firestorm and Darkseid.
So yeah, another new season for Super Friends, which means another new name for the show. Where now it's been rebranded as Super Friends, the legendary superpower show, or Super Friends Season 8. Which is just easier to say. And there's many other new things for the show. Most importantly, we have a new voice for Batman, and a person who knows the cape and cowl quite well. That would be, of course, the legend, Adam West. Oh man, it's so great to see Batman and hear his voice, man. Just legendary. The other new things, man, which are pretty big too, like, for example, the introduction of Firestorm. So let's talk about him for a little bit. So, Firestorm was first introduced in Firestorm, the Nuclear Man #1 in 1978. And the origins of the character are pretty much the same as depicted in the episode, right? And for the creation of the character, co-creator Gary Conway was inspired by Spider-Man to create Firestorm. You see, Conway did work on Spider-Man previously, and he really loved the idea of a teenager superhero. So for Peter Parker, he's a really smart kid who got these amazing superpowers, so Conway was like, yeah, you know, I want something like that, but maybe not a super smart kid getting amazing powers. What if the kid wasn't so smart, you know? What if he's average, but kind of more of a party kid? And I'll give him some kind of a really smart mentor, you know, to kind of help guide him, you know, in a smart, good way. Which he did, and which was the basis for the creation of the dual identities for Firestorm. So that's pretty hip. For the design of the character, well, parts of him were based on two different characters, one of them being Human Torch, and the other being Light Ray. Light Ray more so for the facial mask, and Human Torch for fire because, well, you really can't tell in this episode, but Firestorm hair is actually fire. It's constantly burning and going, much like, you know, Human Torch. So yeah, pretty good stuff.
And now we get to the villain of the episode, Darkseid.
And what an amazing villain! So, Darkseid first made his, I guess, cameo comic book appearance in Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, number 134 in 1970, if you can believe it, but made his proper debut in Forever People number 1 in 1971. And he was created by the legendary Jack Kirby. So Darkseid being in this cartoon TV series, yeah, he was softened quite a bit for the kids, which makes sense, but he is so much more brutal in the comics, man. So, for example, in the cartoon, Superman referred to Darkseid as a powerful leader in the intergalactic underground, which, you know, basically, he's at the same level of, like, say, Jabba the Hutt, right? You know, he's pretty powerful, he has quite a bit of influence, but he's an underground, kind of like a mobster kind of a guy, you know, which makes sense for the show, but in the comic books, man, holy jeez. Yeah, no, man, he's not cute and cuddly like that. He is one of the new gods, right? Also known as the god of evil, the anti-life god. He is a brutal planetary conqueror, enslaving solar systems. And as well, the planet of Apocalypse. As we see in this cartoon, it's just not too bad of a planet. It's got one palace in there, and it's somewhat inhospitable, but you know, I'm sure you can live in the mountains there. Whereas in the comics, oh my god, 'tis quite a brutal place. It's a planet that's completely covered by a city, with most of the citizens working in the energy pits. And we're not talking 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. No. Oh, just a brutal place that you don't even want to look at. Even just visually looking at the two different planets, man. Oh my god. One of these apocalypses you would rather live on, you know? And for Darkseid's buddies, you know, like Calabac, he first appeared in New Gods number 1 in 1971, and the evil scientist Darkseid first popped up in Forever People number 2 in 1971, just to round out his team there. So yeah, that's pretty much the basics of these two characters, what you need to know of them, you know, for now. And we will see more of these characters later on down the road, you know, in many other projects. Well, not many other, but in other projects. But yeah, with this, that, those, and the other things, I guess,
That's that.
right on, and there you go. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it as much as I did making it. Also, feel free to check out the source material that I featured in this video. And if you want to leave a comment on anything you may have liked or things I might have missed in this, you know, feel free to do so. Or anything else, you know, just to say hi. That's cool too. And other than that, you know, have a great day. Thanks.